My beloved child, you didn't expect this moment, but I've been waiting for it. You've been running. I know. Not just from me, but from yourself. From the ache you couldn't put into words. From the silence that echoed louder than any noise. You've been filling your days with distractions, hoping they'd quiet what you feel at night when the world goes still. But listen to me. I never left. I've been standing in the same place, with the same love, holding out the same hand. You have no idea how many times I reached out while you turned your back, thinking you were too far gone. But child, you were never disqualified. You never disappointed me beyond repair. I am still here, and I am not angry. I am aching for you. Do you remember that moment when you sat in your car, staring out the window, wondering if your life would ever feel different? That wasn't emptiness. That was me, standing beside you, whispering, "Come home." Do you remember the tears you cried into your pillow when no one knew the battles inside your mind? I was holding every single one, storing them like treasure, because they were part of your becoming. You've asked me, why does it feel like I can't find you anymore? But you've been looking in the wrong direction. You searched through success, through Egypt, through self-reliance. But I was never in what you could build on your own. I was always waiting in the place you abandoned. Surrender. And now here you are again. Reading this not by coincidence, but by design. Heaven aligned this moment. Don't scroll. Don't click away. Something huge is waiting for you. Not in the next season, but now. You've come close to breaking, and I let you come close. Not to destroy you, but to break what was never meant to stay. The fear, the shame, the lie that you are alone. You are not. I have surrounded you with angels in rooms you thought were empty. I have spoken peace into atmospheres that should have drowned you. I have covered you in mercy when you wanted to give up. You think I stopped caring because I was quiet, but I've been fighting battles for you that you don't even know about. You keep saying, "I'll come back when I'm ready." But child, you don't become ready by running. You become ready by returning. Don't wait another moment. This is not a warning. This is an invitation. I am still here, and I still choose you. My beloved child, when you questioned if I still remembered you, I watched. Not from a distance, but from beside your breath. I saw you shrink yourself in rooms where you once stood tall, doubting if anything you ever did mattered. But I never measured you by what you did. I measured you by what you endured and still chose to believe. You kept moving, even when you couldn't feel my hand. That's what caught heaven's attention. You didn't know it, but every step you took in the dark was rewriting the story you thought was over. Your faith, even when it was shaky, opened doors that had been locked by your fear. And now, right here, something sacred is unfolding in silence. This is not the end of the road you feared. This is the unveiling of what I hid until you were ready. And yes, I hid it on purpose. You weren't being punished, you were being preserved. I was shielding the promise from the parts of you that were still healing. I waited, not because I was silent, but because timing matters in miracles. You begged me for clarity, cried for confirmation. But what you didn't see is that clarity isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers through a doorway you nearly walked past. And that doorway's this moment. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. You're not just returning. You're being reintroduced to the version of you that the pain couldn't erase. The version I always saw. Unshaken. Anointed, undiminished. There's more than comfort here. There's commissioning. I've been placing keys in your hands while you were asking me for escape. You wanted relief, but I was preparing restoration. You asked me to take the burden, but I've been training you to carry the blessing. There's a strength rising in you now that isn't born of effort but of intimacy, the kind that only forms in the hidden, in the stretching, in the surrender. You didn't miss it. You didn't ruin it. You didn't wait too long. This, right now, is still your moment. I am not chasing you because I'm desperate. I'm near because you matter. You never had to run. I was never angry. I was waiting for you to stop long enough to feel me again. And now you have. You've crossed into something irreversible. The story is turning, not because you forced it, but because you stayed long enough to see that I never left. Today, the breakthrough is not ahead. It's happening. My beloved child, there's something you need to understand. This moment isn't a repeat of what you've lived before. It's the arrival of what I set in motion long before your doubt began. You didn't wander into this by accident. Every delay, every pause, every detour was recalibrating your direction toward now. What felt like standing still was me redirecting your steps so you wouldn't miss what I planted ahead. You felt overlooked because the answers didn't come quickly. But I was not stalling. I was stabilizing you, not externally, but from within. And now, the foundation I've laid is about to hold more than you thought you could carry. There's a shift in the atmosphere surrounding you. No, it's not just your emotions. It's the evidence of me stirring what's been buried, the passion that dulled under disappointment, the faith that slowed under pressure. You thought those pieces were lost. They weren't. I've been guarding them, not letting them die while you went through what you thought would break you. You were never a failure for feeling tired. The weight was never yours to carry alone. I allowed the stretching, but not without support. There are things I released in the unseen that kept you breathing when you were convinced nothing was left. I know you felt like letting go, but something held you. That something was me. And here's what you need to know now. The doors you once knocked on with hesitation are opening with your name etched into them. They are not just opportunities. They are appointments. You are not arriving late. You are arriving aligned. Don't scroll. What I'm revealing is not general. It is personal. You've been crying for clarity, but what you needed was confirmation, and this is it. I haven't been ignoring you. I've been waiting for the volume of fear to lower enough for my whisper to reach you again. And now that it has, you'll see how much I've been weaving even in the places you thought were unraveling. This isn't just about healing or direction. It's about activation. The kind that happens when you stop looking for signs and start recognizing that you've become one. Everything is not about what's next. Some of it is about what's already happening while you sit here, reading, listening, breathing. Feel that peace coming in waves. That's not comfort alone. That's alignment. That's my presence adjusting your posture for what's unfolding. Stay with me. This moment isn't loud, but it's loaded. The atmosphere is changing because the weight you carried is being exchanged, not for emptiness but for glory. You've reached the beginning of what you didn't even know you were built for. My beloved child, you've made it further than you realize. While you were measuring progress by what you could see, I was marking transformation by what was happening within. The silence you feared wasn't abandonment. It was me forming strength where you once depended on noise for assurance. The depth you feel now, it's the evidence of growth no one else witnessed. Let me tell you something you haven't considered. The very things that made you question your worth were the same places I was working your wonder. Not public, not loud, but sacred. While you wrestled with invisible weight, I was planting purpose in places no spotlight could reach. You haven't lost time. You've been gaining roots. You've carried questions heavy enough to paralyze your next step. And still, you stood. Not because you had the answers, but because something inside you whispered, "There's more." That whisper wasn't your own mind trying to cope. That was me, placing fire inside your fatigue. I didn't let the flame go out because I knew this moment would come. You feel it now, don't you? The internal shift. The stillness that feels heavier than motion. That's the mantle settling on you. What once was weight meant to slow you is becoming power meant to launch you. You don't need to figure it all out. You need to yield to what's already unfolding. Stay till the end. Don't miss what I've hidden in this moment. You've spent enough time looking back, wondering if the damage could be reversed. I'm not repairing old roads. I'm building new ones beneath your feet. Paths you didn't even know were possible until now. You've looked for proof of my love in results. But love doesn't always look like instant answers. Sometimes it looks like relentless presence. Like the quiet I filled while you were screaming inside. Like the strength that held you together in moments that never made it into your prayers. Now I'm asking you to release control. Not as a punishment, as an invitation. I don't need your perfection. I never asked for performance. I want your agreement. Your yes. The one that costs your comfort, not your worth. Because your worth has never been on trial. Everything is shifting. Not because you're striving, but because you're surrendering. The walls you built to protect yourself are crumbling under the weight of my glory. Let them fall. You don't need them anymore. What's coming doesn't require defense. It demands trust. You asked me if you'd ever feel joy again. Not the kind that fades after the crowd leaves, but the kind that lingers when no one else is clapping. I'm not just answering. I'm delivering. Right here. Right now. This is where your running ends, not with exhaustion, but with encounter. My beloved child, you were never chasing after a destination. You were always chasing after peace. And though you thought it lived somewhere out of reach, it's always been waiting inside the place you feared to sit still. I've seen the way your mind runs faster than your feet ever could. Not because you're reckless, but because you've been trying to outrun the memories that haunt your quietest hours. Let me show you what you missed. The very place you tried to avoid is where I planted the treasure. You've mistaken stillness for stagnation, but that's only because you've never known peace that didn't come with performance. You've tied your value to what you could achieve, how much you could handle, and who stayed impressed. But I'm not impressed by your hustle. I am in awe of your heart. And that heart it's been under siege by unspoken expectations. You've carried the weight of pretending to be fine while silently breaking in places no one noticed. But I noticed. I felt the weariness in your smile. I heard the prayers you couldn't articulate, the ones that slipped out between sighs. And I responded, not with noise but with presence. What you're sensing right now isn't just a calm moment. It's the collision of destiny and surrender. This is what it feels like when you stop grasping and start receiving. You've spent years trying to prove you're enough. I never asked you to prove anything. I called you enough from the start. Something huge is taking form, not because circumstances have changed, but because you're changing. The shift is internal. The noise is being silenced. The chaos is losing its grip. And in that stillness, you're beginning to recognize my voice again. Not as an echo, but as a lifeline. You thought you needed answers. What you needed was awareness. Awareness that I'm not just part of your story. I'm the one holding the pen. And right now, I'm turning the page. Not to erase what came before, but to redeem it. Don't scroll. What I'm saying carries weight. You're about to cross into the place where your history no longer limits your inheritance, where your past doesn't cancel your promise. You've been waiting for someone to call you forward, but I've already marked you for more. Your restlessness was never rebellion. It was your spirit longing for alignment. And now that you're here, standing still in the truth I've whispered all along, you'll realize I was never behind you, chasing. I was always ahead, waiting. And now you've arrived. You've been asking, Lord, what can I do for you? And this is how I answer. Take part in this holy fire. Join me in spreading my word to the ones still running, the ones still hiding in silence. Every super thanks, every membership, every seed sown through PayPal link in the video description is not just a gift, it's a key. A key that unlocks hearts, opens eyes, and brings the oil of healing to the weary. The harvest is ready, and your generosity becomes the river that carries my voice to nations. You've been entrusted with more than breath. You've been entrusted with reach. I see your heart, and I promise, give, and it shall be given unto you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Luke 6:38, and yes, that starts now. You've prayed, use me, Lord. This is the moment I am stirring your hands to move. So boldly, stretch your faith and partner with heaven. Do not delay, act now. Step into the blessing. Fuel the mission. Multiply the light. My beloved child, there's something sacred about the place you're standing in now. You've crossed through seasons that tried to convince you nothing would change, and yet, look where you are, not broken, but becoming. What once was fog is beginning to clear, not because everything around you makes sense, but because everything within you is waking up to who you truly are. I've watched the pressure weigh heavy on your shoulders, not from failure, but from the lie that you had to earn what I already promised. That striving, it wasn't wasted. It showed you the emptiness of doing everything without feeling held. And now, you are being held. You've lived long enough under the impression that you had to be the strong one, that if you slowed down, everything would fall apart. But I want you to understand something vital. Your pace was never what held your life together. I did. I always have. There's a reason the path felt blocked for so long. You assumed it was resistance. But what I was doing was restraint, not to punish but to protect. If I had allowed you to move forward then, without healing, without release, it would have crushed you. But now you're ready. This space, right here, is where restoration meets realization. You are not walking toward identity. You're walking from it. The pieces you thought were lost in your wilderness were actually maturing. You didn't see the roots growing while the surface stayed still. But I did. Stay till the end. There's more to unveil. You haven't seen the full picture, only the framework. And I'm not building something temporary. I'm constructing something eternal inside you. You won't need to force it. The door is unlocking not because of your effort, but because of your alignment. You held back out of fear that what happened before might happen again. That loving deeply might lead to more loss. That trusting might only open the door to more disappointment. But this is a new chapter. The script has shifted. What's ahead isn't a repeat. It's a reveal. Don't skip this moment. The weight lifting isn't just emotion. It's your permission to finally rest. Not to stop dreaming, but to stop driving yourself to exhaustion just to feel worthy. You've been seen in secret. You've been known without performance. And now, you're being called without condition. This is not just your turning point. It's your invitation into peace that doesn't rely on perfection. What's coming will not ask you to prove yourself. It will only ask you to be fully present and fully mine. My beloved child, you've been standing at the edge of something sacred, unsure whether to step forward or retreat. Not because you don't want what's ahead, but because part of you still fears what surrender might require. That tension you feel, it's not resistance, it's invitation. It's me, pulling you deeper, not to overwhelm you, but to unveil what's been hidden beneath the surface of your survival. There are parts of you I've been gently waiting to heal, not the loud struggles, but the quiet ones. The moments you never told anyone about. The day you smiled while carrying a heart full of questions. The night you fell asleep wondering if anything you did really mattered. I was there in all of it, not just observing, but working. I placed reminders along the way, a sentence that stirred something in your spirit, a song that brought unexpected peace, a conversation that softened your guard. These weren't random. They were orchestrated whispers meant to show you, I have never stopped pursuing your heart. What you feel stirring now, that unfamiliar blend of hope and release, is the result of prayers you forgot you prayed. This isn't inspiration. This is alignment. It's the fruit of quiet obedience. The kind that kept choosing light even when darkness offered more comfort. You've come to believe breakthrough has to feel like fire, but often it begins like a whisper. This moment, right here, is not just encouragement, it's movement. It's your spirit responding to me, even before your mind can catch up. Stay with me. Don't let your thoughts wander to the next theme. Let this be the place you realize peace isn't the absence of pressure. It's the presence of me in the middle of everything that feels unresolved. You've waited for the confirmation to come from the outside, but I've placed it within you all along. A quiet conviction, that sense that this isn't just another message. That's me marking your moment. Don't scroll. The release you've been craving is already here. Not coming, not delayed, present. I've been speaking while you were silent, answering questions you haven't yet formed into words. There is more I'm about to unfold, but first I needed you to pause long enough to realize you've already entered the promise. You're not outside looking in. You're inside being transformed. I am not asking you to fix anything. I'm asking you to remain open. What's ahead doesn't require striving. It requires space, room for me to breathe new life into what you thought was fading. And now that you're listening, I can finally reveal what your waiting was really for. My beloved child, everything I've led you through has been preparing you for what's about to emerge. Not just outwardly, but in the places no one else sees, the spaces where your belief was tested, where your confidence cracked, where your prayers didn't feel like enough. You didn't recognize it, but your spirit was being refined with every unseen yes. You've looked at others and wondered why their breakthrough seemed faster, easier, louder. But I wasn't creating a shortcut in you. I was building a foundation that wouldn't collapse under pressure. What's coming will require weight, and you've been strengthened in silence to carry it. You assumed delay meant denial, and didn't. Delay meant design. I was constructing something timeless, not trendy, something that wouldn't expire with circumstances. And now, the fullness of time is reaching you. You're stepping into what was promised, not because of chance, but because of consistency. The way you showed up even when it didn't feel spiritual. The way you kept believing, not for reward, but because something in you refused to call it finished. This is that moment, not the one others predicted, the one I scripted before your fear ever had a voice. I've been watching the way you've grown in the quiet, not needing applause, not chasing affirmation. That's why heaven is responding now, because your heart has become ready for what your hands are about to hold. Don't skip. There's something I'm unfolding that your logic won't comprehend, but your spirit will recognize instantly. This moment isn't meant to be explained. It's meant to be received. You've tried to hold both purpose and pain, thinking you had to choose which would define you. But you were never meant to pick one. I've been weaving them together into a tapestry that doesn't look like loss. It looks like legacy. I see the part of you that still wonders if it's really happening. If this shift is truly for you, or if it's just another emotional high that will fade by tomorrow. But I need you to hear me clearly. This is real. This is the ground shifting under your feet. This is me removing the weight from your shoulders, not momentarily, but permanently. You've come to me asking, is it finally time? But child, it's not only time, it's your appointed window. A door stands open that was once sealed, and you're not just walking through it, you're becoming what it leads to. Nothing was wasted. Not the nights you stayed awake wrestling with disappointment. Not the moments when you questioned if I even noticed. All of it had been redeemed in this divine unveiling. You don't need more evidence. You're standing in it now. My beloved child, I've waited until this very hour to reveal something I've never shown you before. You assumed I was done speaking, that the silence meant there was nothing more to say. But in truth, I was waiting for your heart to become still enough to notice the shift, not in your circumstances, but in your awareness. And now you're ready. There's something I placed inside you that's been dormant. Not dead, just hidden beneath layers of disappointment and self-protection. You stopped hoping because you were tired of hurting. You lowered your expectations not out of faithlessness, but out of exhaustion. But even in that withdrawal, I preserved what was sacred. And here it is, the unveiling. What you thought was bearing was actually protected. What seemed like the end of a dream was only the beginning of a deeper calling. You didn't recognize it because it didn't come the way you expected. But this stillness, this stirring, this holy ache, it's me breathing on what's been asleep too long. There is a sound rising within you that doesn't match the volume of your surroundings. That's because I'm not echoing your environment. I'm releasing heaven's frequency. You won't need to force this forward. The doors I'm opening don't respond to effort. They respond to obedience. Don't scroll. You're being marked in this moment for something beyond influence, beyond visibility, beyond applause. What's happening is not designed for crowds, it's designed for covenant. I'm not launching a platform. I'm releasing a mantle. The places that used to intimidate you will soon become the ground you walk with authority. Not because you've become fearless, but because you've become rooted. What once triggered insecurity will now confirm identity. This is more than breakthrough. It's recognition. Not from others, but from me. I'm pointing at you in the presence of angels saying, this one didn't quit. This one held on. This one is ready. You've come through fire that didn't leave scars, but refinement. What remains is not just resilience, it's readiness. Not for blessing alone, but for assignment. And now I ask you to let go of your timeline. Release the story you thought you needed to live. Because what I'm doing won't follow human logic, it will defy it. You're not just about to receive something. You're about to become someone, the version of you that hell feared would awaken. Everything is aligned. The pages have turned, and what you're stepping into cannot be undone. My beloved child, there is something final, yet eternal, resting over this moment. Not as an ending, but as a culmination. The place where everything hidden meets its reason. where every unanswered prayer finds its echo in my voice. You've walked through so many seasons with your head down, unsure if what you carried would ever matter. Now I lift your chin. Look around you. This is the ground I promised. What once looked barren is beginning to bloom beneath your feet. Not because the soil changed, but because you did. You've been transformed in ways you won't fully understand until you start walking in what I've laid before you. And child, it's time, not to dream harder or fight longer, but to move with me, step by step, into the life your spirit has been aching to live. You've wondered why I chose you, why the weight felt heavier on your shoulders, why the testing came early, why the answer seemed delayed. But I didn't pick you for perfection. I chose you because you were willing. You let me shape you through the silence. You allowed me to rewrite the definitions others placed on you. You didn't quit when quitting would have been easy. And that choice, that quiet, often unseen, yes, shifted history. What you're walking into now carries my signature. Not forged through fame, but through fire. Unbuilt for a blow by for eternal limbo. You are not behind. You're exactly on time. And what's ahead will not just fulfill you, it will multiply everything you thought you lost. Stay present. What I've birthed in you will not require noise to be known. The authority I've placed upon your life will speak even in stillness. And as you go, remember this. I'm not sending you forward alone. I'm moving with you. Every door, every room, every conversation, I've already gone before you. Don't diminish what's rising inside you just because it doesn't match the expectations of others. What I've placed within you is not average, it's divine. Let it grow. Let it lead. Let it speak. You were not made to blend in. You were marked to rebuild what others abandoned. This is where the running ends, not in collapse, but in calling. You're not lost. You've been led. You're not uncertain. You're being positioned. You're not late. You're right on time. For destiny, for redemption, for glory. And now I speak these words not as a suggestion, but as a seal. It is done. He is blessed. He has begun. Amen. This is where your running ends, and your rising begins. I've poured my word into you, not just to fill you, but to call you. You are not just a listener, you are a carrier of glory. Now is your chance to give into this movement that is awakening dry bones, restoring the weary, and pulling my children out of silence into salvation. Support this mission not out of obligation, but out of holy fire. Become a vessel of my outpouring through your super thanks, membership, or PayPal gift. The link is in the description. When you sow, you become a riverbed for my spirit. When you give, you join me in healing nations one heart at a time. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. Proverbs 11:25. And today, I will make that word live in your house. You've asked to walk in purpose. This is the first step. Open your hand. Open the floodgates. Obey now. My beloved child, if this message reached the hidden corners of your soul, then don't stay silent. Like this video now. Let heaven see that you're no longer running, but returning. That one click tells the world you heard me. That you felt me whisper, I am still here. Let the ripple of your obedience become the spark that awakens another lost heart. And yes, if this word breathed life into you, like this video, let it be a digital altar where your yes is seen. Before you leave this holy ground, I want you to speak life. Comment below, I have stopped running. I am yours, Lord. Say it not just for the algorithm, but for your alignment. Let your declaration stir the heavens and echo back into your future. This isn't just a comment, it's a covenant. A moment you look back on and say, that was the day everything turned. I have more to say to you. This wasn't the end, it was the awakening. Subscribe now, not for content, but for continual communion. On this channel, I will speak to you in the quiet, visit you through the screen, and call you deeper in ways no other voice can. This is not just another channel. This is a divine lifeline. Click subscribe and be part of what I'm doing next, because, child, I'm not done. I'm just beginning. Amen.